Hi, this is me, Otsun from Nerdimations, and today we're back with here's what if the Native Americans formed their own civilizations, or basically colonies down. Now, last episode we were he talked about how sheep and horse, the introduction of the sheep and the horse totally changed the Native American and the landscape. Asserting in the Haudenosaunee as basically the main powerhouse. Also, remember how I stated that and now the Haudenosaunee and the Lenape were on the verge of war? Well, that's it's begun. You see, the Onondaga decided to go on a hunting raid against a Nimpuk tribe. Okay, and some Nimpuks and Pequot tribes. Normal stuff. But then, and it, and it, these and the Pequot forces who had recently also decided that they got sick, that they were getting sick of being being just a puppet, and it asked the Lenape if they could get some aid. Now, there was only one issue with asking the Lenape right at that moment, because the Lenape were on their own hunting mission to take over territories further to the west. But quickly, the Lenape marched their forces north. I might ask why? Because they knew that the Onondaga wouldn't have support until it actually it would threaten the Onondaga homelands itself. They so the other five nations agreed that for now it didn't seem that the Lenape were enough of a threat to actually become to the homelands of the Haudenosaunee. And even after multiple towns were captured, or, or only really the Onondaga and then the Oneida, Ida actually joined the war. Now you might ask, what were the Mohawks, the most powerful part of the Confederation, doing? Oh, they were harassing Abenaki tribes to continue expanding their territory or in the far north. Normal stuff. These poor Abenaki tribes. But once the Lenape threatened, and that if the Onondaga and Oneida didn't surrender under these towns, and they'd actually get marched on. Finally, the Cayuga decided that it would be a good time to join the fight, right, sending forces in to help the Onondaga. The Onondaga and Oneida forces said also finally came out in their full, and also came for those Nimpuk tribes, and basically subjugated them. This was really bad. And so the Lenape were put on the table to think of what they should do. Oh, we could simply just maybe rate Iroquois some of the Haudenosaunee towns and other places. He says it's to keep them busy. That's a stupid idea. Maybe we could ask for allies. Do you see anybody else? Maybe we could ask the Seneca. How dumb are you? The Lenape ended up coming up with literally no plan, and in only weeks they were forced to return the towns and also cede some land themselves. though not much. As the Nimpucks, though, were totally conquered, and the Nimpuck massacres would follow shortly after in 1272. Meanwhile, in 1274, or the Green or the Norwegians who had heard of Leif Erikson's story, we decided to go on a new shot to possibly conquer Vinland. They, they had no idea though of what they had just done done to the Native American states eight, 8 years earlier, and that they actually had a threat upon them. In 1262, to combat the Haudenosaunee influences and threats, at at, at the Cree from across Cree lands made what they called the Cree Deal. Well, basically, a alliance that stated that they'd all work together in defense from other Native American tribes, from other Native American kingdoms, and from anybody else who ever dares to try and stop them. They also had another goal: destroy the Haudenosaunee, who they saw as a traitor to the Native Americans in their entirety. And so they also began employing massive armies. It's estimated that up to 10% of the Haudenosaunee military area was 10% of the Cree population was in the military in 1250 in 1270, with the Cree taking basically all this land. So it was a massive mistake for the Norwegians to lead their expedition in 1270. In 1272, right as the Cree were beginning to peak. Thankfully, they missed the territories they originally were planning to land in, and instead landed to find the Micmac tribes, who they were surprised as to have their own written alphabet. They then, and after setting up base in these areas of forming trade with the local Micmacs, decided to go further south, believing that possibly more stuff could be found. And they did find more stuff, landing on islands near what we call Maine. But what the natives is new native lands of the Abenakis. Some of these Abenakis told of the Haudenosaunee, a civilized major kingdom that was currently just finishing their war with the nation even further south, stating that both of these kingdoms had unimaginable riches. Now, they were stretching it a bit too much. And when the Norwegians came to investigate, they learned that the Iroquois were a modernized at least for that time and kingdom. They also were not that rich. They were just extremely militarily expansionist. And it turns out the Haudenosaunee immediately told all the Norwegians to get out. We own these lands. And so, simply leave for the Norwegian an expeditionary group decided to settle in these areas. Also, the Micmac decided that to make their trade even better, they should form a kingdom. And also, in case Norway we get any funny ideas, by 1274, or the Northeast was bustling. The Cree's capital was here on what in English means Encircle City, because it was held in a circle island. And it should that actually surprise you? And just like our Canada, their main bases is annoyingly had to be put near the where the where the Haudenosaunee were, meaning that their main agricultural and economical centers were still plagued by the possibility of a war with the Haudenosaunee. If one ever happened, they'd lose a third of their population, and immediately. And if they could get any further north, almost all population centers could fall. And so they made massive fortifications, including a wall on what we call the St. Lawrence River. Now, the one thing they forgot is making a wall here. But that didn't really matter for them, because as one moment, the one row decided that finally they had gotten sick of being ruled, and so they formed the small but small Renro Kingdom. Pure goal just do not get destroyed. They also participated in the trade routes that went through the Northeast. Also, another thing was approaching the Mesoamericans. Remember those sheeps and horses? Well, by the 1270s, they were reaching in the regions of the Toltecs. And we'll just pretend that these are Toltecs. And quickly the Toltecs started using them. They destroyed all the other small Mesoamerican kingdoms, and then decided that they should go, say, invade the Mayans. They almost finished invading all the Mayans, but a team of a few city-states were able to defeat the the Toltecs, and cause the country to basically shatter to pieces. Meanwhile, the remaining states became small city-states. It's just as how the Mayans have always dealt with stuff. And Mayans also decided to reform their once thriving kingdom, founding the Mayan Confederation, and also beginning trade with the Sarawak tribes and the Mississippians. By 1280, the areas looked beautiful, with now North America holding 120 million people. Anyways, thank you. Have a good day. Don't be dumb, and bye.